Alright folks, welcome back to the third week of me going through Phase 4 of the MCU, and today we'll be deep diving into a brand new chapter for a very famous villain, or should I now say hero, and that is Loki. This is a TV show created by Mike and Waldron for Disney+. This is the third series in the MCU and once again takes place after Avengers Endgame. Waldron serves as head writer with Kate Herron directing the first season. The show follows the alternate Loki who stole the Tesseract being brought to the TVA, who makes sure everything sticks to the main timeline. They overall give him a choice to either be erased or help fix the timeline from a greater threat. Loki is once again played by Tom Hiddleston. Gugu Mbatha-Raw plays Ravonna Renslayer, who is a respected judge of the TVA. Wunmi Mosaku and Sasha Lane plays the hunters of the TVA who go by B-15 and C-20. Eugene Cordero plays Casey, who is the TVA's receptionist. Tara Strong voices Miss Minute, who is the TVA's mascot. Owen Wilson plays Mobius, who is an agent of the TVA. Sophia Di Martino plays Sylvia, who is a female variant of Loki. Jack Vale plays a kid variant of Loki. Richard E. Grant plays classic Loki, who is an older variant of Loki. Obaya Operi plays boastful Loki, who is essentially a variant of Loki who somehow shows off more. Yes, I know that's a lot of Lokis. And finally, Jonathan Mayers plays He Who Remains, who overall is a mastermind behind the TVA, so he can stop evil variants of himself existing. There are 6 episodes in the first season, with all episodes directed by Herron. Waldron wrote the first and last episode with Elisa Gariski, Bisha K. Ali, Eric Martin and Tom Kaufman also writing. The first episode premiered on June 9th, 2021, and episode 6 premiered on July 14th, 2021. It was first revealed in November 2018 by Disney CEO Bob Iger that this series was in development with Tom Hiddleston expected to return. Marvel Studios decided to do this show to make the character more than just a supporting role and actually give him relationships outside of his own family. Hiddleston has gone on to say that they originally filmed the Endgame cameo and it wasn't actually a direct setup for the show. The show wasn't even thought of by then. He then went on to get told about it 6 weeks before Infinity War premiered and then kept it a secret until they announced it. Waldron was hired as head writer and executive producer in February 2019. Overall, his pitch to Marvel was a big fun adventure that would explore this new corner of the MCU. Herron, who's also a massive fan of the character, prepared a whole 60-page document for her pitch as director. She developed this pitch during several interviews with Kevin Wright and Stephen Brosford. And finally, she was then flown to London to Burbank to have a meeting with Kevin Feige, Victoria Alonso and Louis D'Esposito. Feige would then go on to meet with the director in London to offer her the job, and in a rush she went to meet Tom Hiddleston within 48 hours and then went on to the D23 Expo event where she was announced to be director and executive producer herself. The writing team had 20 weeks to create the episode scripts along with the assistance of Jess Dweck. Waldron found this period of time very hard because he still needed to write the pilot, which is normally written before hiring any other writers to do the rest of the show. How the basic structure of the season was figured out 3 weeks in. Waldron felt once they got this, everything else was much easier, since they didn't have to stick to the current events from Endgame, since this is set at an odd timeline from the events of the first Avengers movie. It was also his idea to introduce the TVA, which was a thing the producers of Marvel Studios hoped to do for years, but just couldn't get the right opportunity until then. It was also the involvement of this team that made Hiddleston fully on board for the show. The head writer felt that using this team would further examine Loki's struggle with identity. This is because the character has mostly been out of control with the biggest parts of his life, and with the TVA literally making sure everything happens as it should would put him further out of this comfort zone. The series logo very much reflects this since it doesn't have a unique font, it shifts through what it wants to be. Waldron felt the series was actually structured into individual stories rather than being a 6-hour film being split up into episodes. He said this was his approach with other shows like The Leftovers and The Watchmen. A series that gave him inspiration to this one was Mad Men, since the writer felt this was a good example of a character study which he was trying to do with Loki. Other inspirations were Before Sunrise, Catch Me If You Can, Quentin Tarantino's films, Seven, Zodiac, The Silence of the Lambs, Toy Story, Armageddon, Lost, and finally Rick and Morty, which he wrote on. Initially, Feige stated in November 2019 that the series would tie into Multiverse of Madness. However, by the time the season premiered, he went on to say it doesn't directly tie into anything, but is important and lays groundwork for the future of the MCU. Waldron even contributed with Jeff Loveness, who is the writer for Quantumania, since it closely ties into the universe and well is featuring Kang. One of the show's writers has even gone on to be the head writer of Miss Marvel. Hiddleston was confirmed to star in the show in February 2019 by Disney chairman Alan F. Horn. By September 2019, Sophia was cast as Sylvie, with Waldron saying she matched Hiddleston's energy and was an underrated British actress who was going to blow the US away. Wilson then joined the cast as an unknown role in January 2020, where Gugu cast the next month as Renslayer. Grant was then cast in March 2020 for the single episode as Classic Loki, and by that September, Majors was cast as Kang in Quantumania, with the directors Peyton Reed saying both Waldron and Herron were involved with this casting, since a variant of him would appear in the show. Lane then went on to reveal she was then cast by the end of the same month. Munmi would then go on to do the same in December 2020. This was also around the time when Jamie Alexander was reported to reprising her role as Sif from the past 4 movies. Mentioned in 4, himself Chris Hemsworth even voices Frog in his 1-second appearance. Tara Strong was revealed to be Miss Minutes' voice actress when the series premiered. Overall in auditions, the actress gave 3 different voices to the creative team. One that had the classic accent, one that sounded more like a robot, and one that had more of a realistic emotion. Design-wise, Mobius is meant to resemble comic editor Mark Grunwald, since in the comics, each TVA member is meant to be a clone of him. Herron originally imagined the character to have a scruffy look, but she and Wilson eventually decided it wasn't working out. The silver hair was funnily made up by Wilson when he mentioned he had silver hair in SNL. For Sylvie, Sophia's noted how the broken horn headband is meant to reflect the character's life, and it's similar to the design Lady Loki has in Loki, Agent of Asgard. The actress also gave birth 4 months before filming, so they concealed zippers on her costume to breastfeed. The series filming began on February 10, 2020 at Pinewood Atlantic Studios in Georgia. Autumn Gerald Akapar served as cinematographer. Herron made sure during filming that this was a love letter to Brazil, Metropolis, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and Alien. Also, no lie, for visual inspiration she said she was inspired by Teletubbies and Blade Runner. Eric Paul has even said inspiration for them was Blade Runner along with Zodiac and Clute. Film was shut down at one point during the pandemic, but Herron made sure editing began. Paul Zucker, Callum Ross and Emma McLeave served as the editors. The overall series editing was completed on June 20th, 2021. Musically, Natalie Holt composed the season, with beginning work on Loki, Mobius, the TVA and Sylvie's themes in August 2020. Overall, she worked backwards on the show, so she made music for the last episodes, then went on until she finished the music for the first episode. For Loki's theme, Hull wanted to overall want it to juxtapose the theme for the TVA. Both Sylvie and Frigga's themes was also meant to connect. Mobius' theme was inspired by Bon Jovi and other 1990 rock music, with Renslayer's made to connect to his as well. This season was actually meant to release in May 2021, but was delayed until June 11th, until it was then raised up by 2 days. Critically, Rotten Tomatoes gave the series a 92% from 324 reviews, and Metacritic gave it a 74 out of 100 based on 32 reviews. The show so far has been nominated for 18 awards and has won 3, which credits it for its performances, production design, and crediting it for being the best show 2021. This show to me touches a lot of themes, but all of this is all about this take on Loki. This is the deepest look we've had into the character so far. He is actually given 6 hours of screen time to develop instead of being given 6 film cameos to grow. Overall, this changes the liar/narcissist into a better person from funnily enough falling in love with himself. Now, this does sound very strange to begin with, and I was even weirded out when it was first revealed in the show. But overall, this is the show's most important arc, and it's the romance between Loki and Sylvie. 2 versions of the same person. This guy is still a cocky Loki, but overall this does not mean he has to be the heartless villain. He can still be a caring friend/partner. This show is also very charming thanks to its cast, and also the aesthetic of 1970s alien worlds. Definitely, again, something the MCU needed. So overall, that was the production of Loki and my own little take on the show. Honestly, this is the favourite of some of my friends that are closest to me, and yeah, also the soundtrack is top quality. So yeah, as usual, I've not got much to say since I'm actually paced through these videos quite quickly. And yeah, Loki's such an important show to the MCU, and I can't wait to see what Season 2 brings in store. Anyways, please like the video and considering commenting down below some of your own thoughts about the show, And if I missed any facts out, please comment them down below as well, because I'd love to hear them. Also make sure to like if you like the video. Anyways, I'll see you next week, and peace.